Good morning. I'm Don Martin. I own Martin Properties. I'm the guy that's going to get your listing into the MLS. People ask me all the time, well, what is the status? When is my listing going to become active? So I thought I'd run through a few Q&As here. This video I will update several times, I'm sure, in the beginning here to be sure that it's right. Give me any feedback that you have about whether it's right or not. There are four things that I need to get from you before I get started on putting your house in the MLS. Now, you have put some information regarding your house on my website, the MLSdon.com website or Tennessee Flat Fee, however you got there. You've already, it may feel like you've already listed your property. What you've done is you've assembled some of the information that I need. I'm the one that has access to the MLS, so I'm the one that has to put all the information, and I do it by hand, into the MLS system. So I've got to tell you, for your information, there are four things that I need. First of all, immediately, there is what I call permission to MLS. We do not work with a listing agreement since this is not an exclusive right to sell agency like most realtors want to get you to sign to list your property. You're going to be selling your property. I'm just putting it in the MLS. So I've got to have a signature on a form called permission to put it in the MLS. We don't work with listing agreements, but in case I ever get audited, I have to have this in your file. Second thing I need is a data sheet, a sheet of questions about details regarding your house. This is a sheet. There's a link to it right there in front of you. Print this off along with that permission to MLS. Fill them both out with a black ink pen and then just scan them back to me. Scan them back in a PDF format. Set your printer scanner on PDF output. All of the documents that we need have to be sent in a PDF format, and all the pictures have to be in a JPEG format. Don't want to get ahead of myself yet, but there are two more things that I need. One was permission to MLS. The second was the data sheet. The third is the pictures of your house. You've got pictures of your house on your computer or in your camera, whatever. I need to have those. You can download them to this website where you are right now. That's fine. That works great. If you have to, you can, in a pinch, you can attach them to an email and send them to me. That's okay. The fourth and final thing I need is simply signing a permission to communicate with you. That it's okay to send you emails. That I'm not spamming you. So I think that's a MailChimp link probably, but I need to get you to sign that. So there's four things: permission to MLS, your data sheet, your pictures, and permission to communicate. Now, remember I said any documents that you send to me, please send in a PDF form, and any pictures, please send in a JPEG form. A lot of people have iPhones and they think they can just take a picture of a document and send it to me. Actually, if you look at it, the details of it, you're sending me a JPEG, and that really doesn't work as well with the readers as a document does when it's in a PDF format. So PDF for documents, JPEGs for pictures. Now, those four things are not a lot. They won't take you long to gather up at all, but I'm not going to start on your listing. I'm not even going to start on your listing until I have all four of those things. The reason for that is if I were to start on it and I only have a couple of those things, and then something happens and you can't get me a other one, then I'm sideways uploading a listing and I can't do anything else because I'm waiting on the rest of the stuff. So I don't even get started on your listing until you get me all four of those things: permission to MLS, a data sheet, the pictures, and the permission to communicate. When I've got all of those, then it takes me from 24 to 48 business hours to upload it. Okay, because I do upload it, a good portion of it by hand, and I would rather tell you an overestimate than an underestimate. I can usually get things done in a day, but I ask for 48 business hours. Now, the business hours is an interesting concept. The MLS and Martin Properties, we're not here working around the clock. We're not like a hospital. We work during business hours, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. So if you send me information on Thursday and I get all of the information for your listing on Thursday night, then I have it when I start on Friday morning. The odds are pretty good I can have you active before the end of that day. If you send them later than in the morning someday, then they probably won't get started on, depending on how many are in queue, until the next day. And then it would take at least all day or the next 2 business days. Um, the weekend days don't count as business days. So if you've got to be on by the weekend, please take that into account and send it to me earlier in the week so I have time to work on it. And here again, sometimes there's only one or so in the queue in front of you. Sometimes there's several. So all those do make a difference. Remember those 4 things before I get started. Then when I get started, 24 to 48 business hours. What's going to happen is when it gets active, it becomes active. The system will issue you an MLS number. I will print a PDF copy of that listing, the listing format that realtors get to see in the MLS that includes your contact information. Uh, I will send that to you attached to an email, and I'll say, hey, your listing's active. And incidentally, your contact information is not going to be on every version of the MLS listing. The MLS listing is basically for other MLS members to use as their own listing as far as that goes. So I can't have your contact number all over it, or that would defeat the purpose. So I will send you the PDF, and I'll say, hey, uh, your listing's active. There you go. Now I've got to tell you one thing unpleasant. The payments that you're sending are through PayPal. PayPal doesn't really have an area that you accountants might call a suspense area. Uh, you can't just take your payment and leave it sitting around uh, till some other strange time and then ask for it back. So I, I have to tell you, there are no refunds. And I don't mean no refunds after you're already active and in the MLS, because there's a lot of work that goes on prior to that happening. Once your refund is, once your payment is in the PayPal, and your file is open and work has begun, uh, there's just there's no refunds. There's no real way I can get you your money back. So don't start and pay and then do 2 of the 4 things that I need and then say, well, gosh, I can't, I don't want to do the other 2, and then ask for a refund, because that becomes next to impossible. So um, remember that there's no refunds. One question is, what am I getting into when I list my house? There are some things that are very important that you are agreeing to. I might as well go over those with you right now. Uh, when I send you a copy of your listing and tell you that it's active and here it is, uh, it will have a couple of red balloons on the subject line, so you can't miss it. It'll have a link to some other forms for you to use, or at least look over and be aware of. You really need to do that. You don't need to just forget it and ignore it. There's a form in there that's called your property condition disclosure. I need for you to do that. I need for you to fill that out and send it back to me. A very important form that is in that group is a status change form. I can't make changes to the MLS listing without you completing a status change form and sending it back to me. What you're agreeing to be in the MLS is you're agreeing to keep me up to date. When you want to become pending, when you say, gosh, I've accepted a contract, I need for my listing to say pending, then okay, that's great. You need to send me a copy of your contract. Now, I need it with the status change form. So that's two things. You got to fill out the status change form and sign it, and then send me a copy of your contract, and I'll make it pending in the MLS. The same thing with when you close and you want to show it as closed in MLS and quit getting calls. You got to send me, once again, another status change form filled out, signed, completed, and a copy of the closing papers. So you're agreeing to send me a copy of the contract that you accept and a copy of the closing papers. And I don't mean in a couple of weeks, because the MLS wants them immediately. So when you go into this project, know that you have got to keep me in the loop, keep me up to date. When you accept an offer, send me a copy of it. And when you close, send me a copy of your closing statements. Remember, copies of documents should be in PDF form, and copies of pictures in a JPEG form. But those two things you are promising to do. The MLS has the ability, and sometimes are prone to, fine us when we're not timely, when we have something that is pending and we have not advised them and we have not changed it in the MLS. If they catch us doing that, whether it's on purpose or accidental, they can fine us. And when you sign up for this MLS listing, you're agreeing that if I get fined because you haven't sent me a copy of something, then you're agreeing to pay the fine. I obviously cannot stay in business charging such low fees and paying what can be fairly high fines. So it's incumbent on you to keep me advised at all times. So that's what you're promising. Um, that is really all that it is for now. I may update this at a later date. I may add more. I may amend it and add more to this original video. Videos are crazy things. You can do all sorts of things with them. But remember, send me those four things: permission to MLS, data sheet, the pictures, and permission to communicate. Then I'll get started on your listing. Might take me a couple of days. I don't work around the clock, and there's no refunds that come back from the MLS. So it's important that you treat this project with the respect that it should have. It's important. Get to work on it. I'm here to help you. I'm 10 digits away. I'm not keen on texting. I'm a slow typer. So if you can get around uh, sending me an email by just calling me, that's great. If you can't reach me by phone or something like that, some people think, well, I'll just reach him by text, and texting is not that easy, because I'm one person, and I'm trying to get your listing and a couple of other people's listings on the MLS. So that's what I do. I am again thankful for your business, grateful for your business. Thought that this might answer some questions that I can almost guarantee you're going to want to call and ask me. But hopefully, this might answer those questions in advance. If you get an opportunity, there's a little red square over here. Subscribe to this video channel. That would be great. If you've got any questions, you can write them down here. I will answer them as quickly as I can. Uh, I do appreciate your business. Thanks. And I hope to see you later.